Hi, Environmental Science. We're going to be finishing up the Unit 4 presentation. Shoot, there's some weird things going on my screen. So we're talking about population growth and symbiotic relationships and different relationships between organisms. So population growth, we talked about this in biology a fair amount, and so this is just a review of logistic growth, which takes the shape of an S, right? We have the beginning of the growth, we have a J-curve or exponential growth section, then we reach carrying capacity. So there's some sort of factors that limit that growth and hold the population at carrying capacity. And some populations you will see don't have this nice neat line. They may go up and down, but the line of best fit would be kind of a straight line there. So this is just a reminder. The J-curve section of the logistic growth pattern ends up being an S shape. Okay, so again, like as I was saying, it starts off fast, but then it encounters some sort of resistance. So there's different types of resistance or limiting factors. There's density-dependent factors like disease, which affect dense populations more, because density dependent depends on how dense a population is. So that would be like disease, like it says, and other factors that can spread within a population. Density-independent factors are like natural disasters or climate change or other things. It doesn't matter how many organisms are living in an environment, it happens anyways, and it'll affect however many organisms are living there. So that would be like a fire, climate change, some sort of other disaster, earthquake, etc. Okay? So the density-dependent growth limiting factors cause the population's growth to slow and eventually stabilize. And then that's where that carrying capacity is reached. So exponential growth, which takes the shape of a J as a reminder, does not experience limiting growth factors. The population continues to grow and eventually it exceeds the carrying capacity, and this is called an overshoot. So right here is an overshoot, and then you'll see a dieback. And then the populations will fluctuate, and that's what we're seeing. Like, I don't remember if you guys were able to play like the deer and mountain lion game or that we played outside, where the populations just varied like that. They fluctuated, but eventually you would see that carrying capacity reached. Okay, so there we talked about dieback. Exponential growth is unusual. It doesn't typically occur under natural conditions or normal conditions, but the human population, to go back, we are experiencing exponential growth right now. We have not reached carrying capacity, and we don't know what that is of our Earth yet, so something to think about. Okay, so revisiting that Great Famine kind of phenomena that we talked about earlier in this presentation. China's Great Famine in 1958 was partially due to the removal of the density-dependent growth-limiting factor for locusts. And so the limiting factor was the predatory Eurasian tree sparrow. The locusts were able to grow exponentially, creating swarms with millions of individuals. So this would be what their growth pattern looks like. That would be terrible to live in that. Okay, and the next section, and the last section we're going to talk about in this unit is community interactions. So how quickly populations grow and the maximum size they attain are often the result of interactions with other populations of organisms. Sorry, I was just seeing if I could see my time. One of the most basic interactions is predator-prey, where one organism consumes the other. So you can see that kind of going on right here. Pretty sure this is a monarch butterfly larva, which is kind of interesting, and then there's some type of beetle. Competition is where organisms and populations compete for resources, and that's another common type of interaction that we see. Those are the ones that are fascinating to watch in those nature shows. If you ever watch nature documentaries, organisms are competing for water, food, territory, mates, etc. When competition occurs within members of the same species, it's called intra-specific. and when it occurs between different species, it's called interspecific. Some organisms have developed adaptations to avoid direct competition with their own species, so plants will send their seeds really far away, and that way they're not competing with the same soil. Wolves mark and occupy a territory so they have enough hunting area so that the other wolves can pick up on that and they can move on. Adult monarch butterflies and their caterpillars each utilize a different part of the plant, and milkweed plants are a common plant that the butterflies utilize. Interruptions.
Basketball players on the court, please come to us. Basketball players on the court, come to us.
Okay, excuse me. Another significant cause of the Great Famine was planting too densely. This caused the rice plants to compete with each other directly for water, soil, and nutrients. So this is in China, referring back to that Great Famine that we've been talking about the whole unit. Another relationship is symbiosis. So these involve a lot of close contact between two species. When the relationship benefits both organisms, it's called mutualism. When one organism benefits while the other is unaffected, it's called commensalism. These are a review for you guys. And when one organism benefits at the expense of the other, it's called parasitism. Barnacles create homes by attaching themselves to whales. The whales are unaffected. So that is a type of relationship. See if you can identify what it is. Clownfish have a mucus that allows them to live in sea anemones. Their presence attracts other fish for the anemone to eat. What kind of relationship is that? And as bison walk through the grass, insects are disturbed and fly away. They are eaten by cowbirds. What kind of relationship is that? Ostriches and gazelles feed next to each other. Ostriches have excellent eyesight. Gazelles have a stronger sense of hearing and smell. How are they benefiting each other? Are they benefiting? I think so. So what kind of relationship is that? Mistletoe extracts water and nutrients from the spruce tree directly, or other trees we have it growing around here. What kind of relationship? All right, and then the last, revisiting the Great Famine, the last section of this. So textbooks in China today omit talking about the true causes of the Great Famine. They call it 3 years of difficulty caused by bad weather. Mao Zedong's portrait still hangs at the center of Tiananmen Square, at least when this was made. I haven't been there. And so that's kind of like the way that they leave it, but you guys know the other story.